Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the City of Pasco City Council meeting, first meeting of 2026. We hope you had a great holiday. The City Council thanks you for being part of the city government at these meetings. And at these meetings, the City Council takes formal actions and holds public hearings and conducts other business of the city. Agenda packets are available at the City of Pasco's website at www.pasco-wa.gov/agenda. And there's also agendas back in the back table. This meeting is also being televised live on PSC-TV, channel 191 on Spectrum Cable in Pasco and Richland. And it's streamed on the city's Facebook page, website, and YouTube channel. This and previous council meetings video is available at the city's website. Lastly, the public may submit their comments and or questions by contacting the city manager, city clerk, or by using the Ask Pasco app. So with that, I'd like to do the roll call. Councilmember Campos.
Here.
Councilmember Grimm.
Here.
Councilmember Figueroa.
Present.
Councilmember Hernandez.
Present.
Councilmember Grimm.
I'm still here.
I'm sorry. Milne. Thank you.
I'm here.
I just wanted to make sure you really were here. And Councilmember Perales.
Here.
Great. All six are here. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. As you may have noticed, I'm the city clerk, and I usually do not sit up here and address the public, but tonight's a special night because we have the opportunity for a presiding officer. That's what we're going to be doing next, selecting a temporary presiding officer. And at that point, then the council is going, amongst themselves, going to elect a mayor and a mayor pro tem. So there'll be a little shifting. I just want you to be aware of that, of seats for a little bit. And then after that process, the mayor and the mayor pro tem are elected, then we'll take a 10-minute or a 5-minute break for reseating for the council. So thank you again. So the first thing is, since there's no elected mayor or mayor pro tem at this time, the city council will select a temporary presiding officer to chair the next section of the meeting. The nominations for the temporary presiding officer are now open.
Madam Clerk, I move to select Dave Milne as the temporary presiding officer to chair the beginning of this meeting.
Thank you. So we have Mayor Milne.
That.
David Milne. Okay, great. Thank you. Are there any other nominations for the temporary chair? I'll ask one more time. Are there any other nominations? Great. That makes 3 times, and we'll close this. Thank you. And Councilmember Milne, you are the temporary presiding officer. Thank you.
All right, well, let me read this. So we're going to go over what the mayor is and the mayor pro tem. So the election of the mayor and mayor pro tem occurs every 2 years. Pasco operates under the council manager form of government. 3, the duties of the mayor position include: the mayor is the leader of the council and city figurehead. The mayor presides over the council meetings. The mayor determines the council member assignments to boards and commissions for the 2-year period. The mayor appoints members of the city's various volunteer boards, commissions, and committees with the council's approval. The mayor also issues proclamations, attends ribbon cuttings, and attends other key community events representing the city and city council. The duties of mayor pro tem are to perform the mayor's duties when the mayor is unavailable. And lastly, only the city council may select the mayor and mayor pro tem positions. So with that, any councilor may nominate any member, or they may nominate themselves for mayor. No second is needed. And so with that, I would like to start off, and I would like to be my honor to nominate Charles Grimm for the position of mayor. So do we have any other nominations for mayor? I'm not seeing any, so we'll do the second call for mayor. And we'll do a third and final call for mayor. So with that, with no other nominations, I close the nominations for mayor. And so let's get the roll call.
Thank you.
And this is before nominating Charles Grimm as the mayor of the city of Pasco.
Great. Councilmember Campos.
Yes.
Councilmember Grimm.
Yes.
Councilmember Figueroa.
Yes.
Councilmember Hernandez.
Yes.
Councilmember Milne.
Yes.
And Councilmember Perales.
Yes.
Great. It passes unanimously. Congratulations, Mayor Grimm.
Right.
Thank you, everyone. I'm very honored to have the confidence of the council and the support of my family and others, and just pray that the good Lord guides me with wisdom as we go forward as a city. We are now going to open up the election of the mayor pro tem. Any council member may nominate another member, or they may nominate themselves for mayor pro tem position, and no second is needed. Council members can now make their nominations.
I would like to nominate Councilmember David Milne.
We have a nomination for David Milne for mayor pro tem. Are there any other nominations? Second call, any other nominations for mayor pro tem? Third and final call for nominations for mayor pro tem. With no further nominations for mayor pro tem, I will close the nominations and go to a vote. And this says, since there's only one individual nominated, we'll just confirm the election by a voice call vote. So Councilmember David Milne has been nominated to serve as the City of Pasco Mayor Pro Tem through December 31st, 2027. Council, please confirm this action by saying aye.
Aye.
No.
Let it be recorded that the vote was 5-1. At this time, I am now going to call a 10-minute recess for the council's new seating arrangements, and the meeting will convene at, let's call it 7:19. We are in recess. All right, we will call this meeting back to order. Thank you, everybody. We will now move on to number 8, the consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the City of Pasco and will be enacted by a roll call vote as one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If further discussion is desired by council members, the item may be removed from the consent agenda or the regular agenda and considered separately. Would any council members like to remove an item? Hearing none. A is approval of meeting minutes for December 1st and the 8th. B is bills and communications approving claims in total the amount of $23,046,718.81 and write-off totaling $2,500 in delinquent bad debt. And may I get a motion, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda as read.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Milne for the consent agenda as read. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Figueroa. All in favor say, or I guess we need to take a roll call for this. Ms. Clerk, if you would do a roll call, please.
Yes, thank you. Councilmember Campos.
Yes.
Councilmember Figueroa.
Yes.
Councilmember Hernandez.
Yes.
Councilmember Perales.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Milne.
Yes.
And Mayor Grimm.
Yes.
Passes unanimously.
Thank you. We'll now move on to number 9, proclamations and acknowledgements. Seeing none. Moving on to number 10, public comments. The public may address the council on any items unless it relates to a scheduled public hearing. This item is provided to allow the opportunity to bring items for the attention of the city council or express an opinion on an issue. Its purpose is not to provide a venue for debate or for the posing of questions with the expectation of immediate response. Some questions require consideration by council over time and have deliberative process with input from a number of different sources. Some questions are best directed to staff members who have access to specific information. Citizen comments will normally be limited to 3 minutes by the mayor. Those with lengthy messages are invited to summarize their comments and/or submit written information for consideration by the council outside the formal meetings. Lastly, when called upon, please state your name and city or county of residency into the microphone before providing your comments. And with that, we will open public comments. Thank you. Come right up.
Good evening, council members and new council members. My name is Amber Wade and I live here in Pasco.
Could you turn on the microphone?
Whoopsies. My name is Amber and good evening, council members and new council members. Where'd we go?
My attorney, you got $70.
Go for it.
I will. And your sister can pay it because you have no fucking money. First of all, you wrote.
What you just heard matters because it shows you the reality behind my situation. After raising ongoing concerns where I live here for the past 2 years, I am now being displaced and my family is being threatened. That is not a personal squabble. It is an economic and housing stability here for Pasco. This one has been on notice. Some of you have been heard resident testimonies yourself, and public attention has been brought here from local Pasco and beyond. Even we've gotten a call from Senator Cantwell's office. Pasco must not become a city who has the gold makes the rules. My family has been helping take care of me, and through that, we have been helping take care of Pasco local economy. Between purchasing my home and paying rent in advance and paying the local contractors legal work and repeated repairs and upgrade, my family has contributed roughly to $100,000 to $150,000 here locally to Pasco and Tri-Cities. Those are private dollars circulating locally. But when the response to raising concerns is intimidation, displacement, Pasco shoots itself in the foot. Those private dollars stop coming in because the peoples with resources step back, not because they want to, but because they are being targeted precisely because they have assets. And these are coming from dollars out of state, from Utah, from multiple of my House members. I want to be clear, when private support is pushed out, the public inherits the bill. I'm on Social Security and now have a Section 8 voucher. Now that means where family was covering costs privately, taxpayers are now carrying a monthly public cost instead of private investments coming in. If this is what happens to someone with documentation and family support, it has been witnessed by many local people, including Leo, Tri-Cities Herald, the Hispanic News. You have heard these comments over and over again. My request tonight is simple. Treat this as an economic and housing stability problem. Coordinate and follow up through the appropriate channels and make it clear that residents in Pasco's will not be punished for raising legitimate concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Wade. And I just want to remind you and other commenters, this is actually broadcast on TV, and there's actually obscenity laws and everything for broadcasting. And so if we could refrain from that in the future would be very much appreciated, and also for the order of this dais. Thank you. Who would be next? Thank you. Mary, come on up.
Is on?
Yes, ma'am. Thanks, Ms. Mahoney.
Mary Mahoney, Pasco resident. Animal Control Ben Zigan stated he's taken in 3,000 animals in 2025 with only 300 returned to owners. Provide records for the remaining 2,700 animals. See KVUE News 12/18/25. Animal control continues to sell our dogs and cats to WSU for research, then they're killed. Provide a permit to do so. Now animal control has devised a usage pay system, a bounty that requires a ransom to be paid to get our pets out of animal control. On 10/6/25, see Pasco City Manager Report, page 4, with 232 recent cases. Provide those cases and for the 2,700 animals. The total for the usage pay fines. 2, the number of due process violations as authorized by Pasco City Attorney Lee Kerr. 3, the number of dangerous dog and breed ban notices issued to pet owners with translators if needed. 4, the number of dogs and cats sent to WSU for research and the money paid by WSU for our animals. 5, the number of dogs and cats euthanized at animal control with certified euthanasia training. See botched and cruel euthanasia methods in the Ziegen files. Pasco has never provided results for animal control regarding 1, the 48 counts of animal cruelty. 2, the stolen donation of $545,000 given by our veteran Thomas Ashby in his will to be used to help dogs and cats in need instead. Number 3, $300,000 of that donation was siphoned off by animal control Julie Chambers to buy a house. Provide repayment. Number 4, provide the missing and or stolen rainy day fund from animal control with rehire Angela Zeiler. See Chambers, Howard, Hernandez, and Zeiler, and the Tri-City Herald on 11/26/25 with the Attorney General file on 9/29/23 with over a $500 million CIP budget made up by our tax dollars. Pasco gives nothing to our homeless people and no funds for a low-cost spay-neuter clinic for our dogs and cats, and yet the Pasco Aquatic Center exceeds $40 million and counting, with 3 lazy river flumes costing millions and more, while the East Side Memorial Pool scrambles for less than $2 million. Aquatics ex-Pasco Mayor Matt Watkins is paid nearly $11,000 per month, plus his travel expenses. Provide his passport and travel costs and Attorney Lee Kerr's aquatic fees. Provide a permit number 404 for the floodplain developments and fines for killing our 8 floodplain American bald eaglets and eagles. Provide LID designs for my property with cost, start dates, communications, harassment, and retaliation. See files. All requests are for the record via RCW 42.56 with notice to Pasco.
Thank you. Anybody else for public comment?
Good evening and welcome again to our new counselors.
State your name and.
Lori Thompson, Pasco.
Thank you.
In welcoming our new council members, we're hoping that the council turns a new page, and so you know that a lot of citizens, your constituents, are holding faith that you will serve with the best interests of the citizens during your term in office, and I appreciate your service. Thank you. It's unfortunate we have to address this again. I bring your attention that our Christmas, and for a 2-week period ending just this last Sunday, was nothing of the silent night we should have been able to enjoy in this season of peace and goodwill. Instead, over the holidays, the blatant, illegal, dangerous, toxic, repetitive, and inconsiderate use of window rattling, aerial, and explosive mortars across the city in the nighttime and early morning hours seemingly continues to get a blind eye from the city council and mayor. Much of the unsightly refuse from this activity is still, today, lying in our street gutters, making its way down to the street drains we, the homeowners, must pay the city to maintain. These kinds of fireworks are banned, and those laws upheld in many other cities and states for very good reasons. I, and on behalf of many of my neighbors, beg you to do something toward our quality of life here in Pasco by doing something to enforce these laws that we already have against such activity. Water and sewer rates, consultant analysis and recommendations are complete, and I remind the council that not all of the ratepayers can continue to support ever-increasing utility rates that outpace any cost of living increases to our income. Existing utility users and taxpayers should also not have to underwrite developer infrastructure costs and new housing and commercial ventures, including water and sewer hookup fees. I commend the city on considerations toward landscaping modifications of boulevards and islands that will conserve water and reduce future labor costs. Thank you to our Pasco Police for hosting community meetings and attending public engagements that help personify the department and promotes citizen accessibility. Thank you.
Thank you for your
Thank
comments. Anybody else for public comment? Going twice? Going 3 times, closing public comment? Thank you for everybody who takes part in their city government. We will move on to, number 11, reports from committees or other officers. What'd you guys do over the holidays? Mayor Pro Tem Milne?
Well, thank you, Mayor. I did quite a lot. We had at the animal shelter, we had a Juliana Showalter and her family came, and we're talking about ordinances, but also about how you can only have 3 cats. But we had a little thing where we got a tour of the animal shelter facility, and it was a really good interaction. And so we try to always keep. It's always nice when you have young kids that they interact with the council and send letters. So it was my privilege to go down there and talk to her and her family on why we can only have 3 cats, but she could get involved with the animal shelter and volunteer, and again gave a nice little tour. So it was a good event. And then also I did the Reefs Across America and also the Pasco Winterfest, which I thought was really well attended. I was shocked at how many people were there, and I had a lot of fun lighting the Christmas tree, and I'm sure you'll get to do that next year. And so yes, and I was glad to see the different council members that were out there. I think Hernandez was out there, yes. And and I think Abel was out there as well. So anyway, it was good to see so many people participate in downtown city Pasco, our events. So I was glad to serve.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Milne. Appreciate your involvement with the city. And Mr. Figueroa?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So since being sworn in, which was December 1st, it's been an eventful, rewarding start for sure. And I've been looking forward to joining you all up here. So during that time, that lapse of time, I was invited to serve as a panelist for the LULAC High School Student Regional Conference here in CBC. And it was just a really rewarding experience to being able to share my experience as a first-generation college student, some of the hardships and struggles, and just be able to impart some of the wisdom to the young adults that are making big decisions about their future. And also I was able to attend the AWC elected officials workshop after being elected, and so that provided valuable training, lots of information, and just access to numerous resources, and I was able to just network with folks online, elected officials from different cities, and building that connections. And I also participated in the meet and greet last Tuesday alongside council members Hernandez and Campos, where we had the opportunity to kind of meet with downtown members and introduce ourselves and hear a little bit about what they have in the agenda items for downtown businesses out there, listen to the concerns, and starting to hopefully create good solutions for that. So I'm just looking forward to the important work ahead that we have, and I'm grateful to be here and a part of it. So thank you, and Happy New Year's to all of us.
Thank you, Mr. Figueroa. Appreciate it. And for everybody else, I know, yes, if you haven't done much yet, we're going to be busy here real soon. So appreciate all your hard work and a lot of that in advance. So moving on, number 12, hearings and council action or ordinances, resolutions relating thereto, nothing listed. 13, ordinances and resolutions not relating to hearings. Number A is resolution 4692, setting time and date for a public hearing for a right-of-way vacation Tierra Vida Phase 1 westerly 20 feet It is a 5-minute staff presentation by Ms. Mattson, where Mr. Raymond in her stead. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Your Honor and council members. Good evening and Happy New Year. This is a request to set February 17th, 2026 as a public hearing date to receive testimony on a request to vacate rights-of-way that are associated with the Tierra Vida Phase 1 subdivision. As you can see on the map to the left, it's a little bit hard to see from here, the subject right-of-way was included in the final plat map for Tierra Vida Phase 1. As demonstrated on the map to the right, in 2023, there was a request to vacate this along with other rights-of-way, and it's unknown why the correct legal description was not included at that time, but the outcome of that is that this particular portion of the right-of-way was never formally vacated. The current request is that we clean up the record and formally vacate the subject right-of-way. In considering vacation of rights-of-way requests, the City Council shall consider criteria outlined in PMC 12.40.070 that includes, number one, the proposed vacation will not adversely affect traffic accessibility within the city and will not impact circulation within the immediate area. As this particular right-of-way has not been used for access and is currently landlocked. It is undeveloped and does not accommodate vehicular or any pedestrian traffic. Number two, the portion of right-of-way proposed for vacation is not intended for future public use. Development to the west dedicated Eureka Avenue and Sprague Avenue in lieu of the vacated rights-of-way through Ordinance 4646. In fact, when you look at the map, there's a completely different development pattern that existed since the original dedication of the rights-of-way. That ordinance resulted in this particular segment being landlocked, and this proposed vacation will correct that issue. Number three, no other property will become landlocked, nor will access be substantially impaired. All affected properties will retain both legal and physical access via pause court. Number four, the public need will not be adversely affected. In fact, the vacation provides a public benefit by supporting orderly development and establishing a clear record for future reference. Additionally, the City Council will need to consider a couple of more things, and that is to whether we should require the petitioners to provide a signed agreement covering the cost of an appraisal and compensating the city for the rights-of-way to be vacated. Staff recommends in this case waiving the appraisal and the compensation requirements based on two considerations. And number one, the vacation is offset by the dedication of substitute public rights-of-way of equal or greater value as provided by the developers to the west. Additionally, this action corrects the omission in the legal description from Ordinance 4646. And number two, the community benefit of the requested vacation outweighs the appraised value of the right-of-way. Given these facts, staff is not recommending requiring compensation for the right-of-way or requiring a formal appraisal. As such, at this time, staff is requesting that the City Council adopt Resolution 4692, setting February 17th, 2026 to conduct a public hearing and consider an ordinance vacating the subject right-of-way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Raymond. Does any of council have any questions or comments? Seeing none, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, Mayor. I move to approve resolution number 4692, setting 7 p.m. on Tuesday, February 17th, 2026 as the time and date for a public hearing to consider the vacation of westerly 20 feet of Tierra Vida Phase 1 as established by auditors file number 1691585.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Milne. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Hernandez. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Raymond. We will move on now to B. This is ordinance number 4808A, amended 2026 administrative professional wages. This is coming from Ms. Mattson.
Hi. Is this on? Okay. Good evening, Mayor. Congratulations and welcome new council members. My name is Sarah. I'm the HR director, so nice to meet you. The item here is a technical correction to the 2026 Administrative Professional Non-Management Wage Ordinance that Council approved on December 1st, 2025. There's no policy changes, no changes to the approved COLA, and no additional physical impact beyond what was already presented and approved. After council action, staff identified some small technical issues in the wage scale exhibit, including omitted reclassified positions. You'll notice that the engineering technicians are now on there in the correct classification, and there was just a calculation methodology that deferred from the city's longstanding rounding practice. This amendment aligns the wage scale with council's original intent, ensures internal consistency, and avoids unintended wage outcomes. Staff recommends adoption of ordinance number 4808A. The alternative would be not to adopt the corrective ordinance, which would leave known technical errors in place and could result in unintended wage costs and administrative consistencies. If adopted tonight, the corrected wage scale will be implemented effective January 4th, 2026, consistent with the original ordinance, and no further council action will be required.
Okay, thank you. Any comments or questions from council? Mr. Hernandez, was your light on from the last time? No comments, no questions? I guess you're off the hook, Ms. Mattson. Thank you. Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, if you want to make a motion.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I move to adopt ordinance number 4808A, amending wages for certain administrative personnel, non-management personnel for calendar year 2026.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Milne. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Campos. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to number 14, unfinished business. This is a presentation in regards to the Columbia River Shoreline Reconveyance update. And I saw Mr. Dye out there. Was staff gonna begin or?
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. Jesse here, presenting remotely this evening. But yes, this evening, Carl Dye and David Reeplog are here to present a update on a long-term project involving multiple local municipalities and two of the different tribes in the areas, which is our River Shore Reconveyance project. I guess briefly, that project is about the transfer of land that is currently owned by the Army Corps of Engineers, but maintained by our local municipalities and other agencies, back into control of local government. So again, Carl Dye and David Reeplog will be presenting that brief presentation for you. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor and Council, congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Dye. Turn on your light, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
You don't want me to just yell at you?
You're good.
Okay. Thanks for giving us some time on the agenda. This work has been ongoing. I've been here almost 6 years now, and it started way before David and I came into our position. Started actually with Doc Hastings with some legislation that was passed on behalf of the local municipalities to be able to get the shoreline land back from the Corps of Engineers, from the federal government. David Reeplog, our Vice President of Federal Programs, is going to get into the details and give you a presentation on that. I just wanted to start off for the new council members. We are Tri-City Development Council, or TriDec. This is our 63rd years here in the Tri-Cities, representing all of the Tri-Cities together on matters federally and on economic development. So we really appreciate the partnership that we've always had with City of Pasco on economic development, in combined with the contract that the city has with Port of Pasco to do some of your economic development activities for you. Since we've been here, Darigold was a huge win. We have more projects that we see coming down the pipeline. Pasco's obviously the shining star in the Tri-Cities. Right? You'd expect me to say that, I hope.
Thank you.
Of course. Keep your eye on Pasco. I've seen the billboard. There you go. Just want to give that brief overview. In the future, we'll work with City Manager Stewart and the rest of the staff to come and give regular updates to council on projects that we're working on, ways that we can work together. I think with Port of Pasco and our contract, and then some of the planning and development officials, one thing that we can look for coming up is some business recruitment and expansion opportunities, where we'd kind of do a blitz of businesses, just like it sounds like some council members did with downtown businesses, understanding their issues, being able to work on solutions, bringing them back to council, doing some things like that. We haven't had the chance to do that in the past. I think that's one of the things that we'll try to gear up this year, to be able to focus on all the businesses in Pasco, not just the industrial companies that we work with. But that's kind of a brief overview I wanted to give to be able to hand it over to David. He's going to get into the shoreline reconveyance. And again, this is the first time that we've been in front of the council to explain this. We've been working on staff that David will get into details with. Jesse's been there with us through this whole process, working forward. But we're really excited about the progress that we're making, and I'll turn it over to David.
All right, thank you, Carl, and again, good evening. Congratulations to the Mayor Pro Tem, and to the new council members. We very much look forward to working with you on all the different things that TriDec does as we interface with the city of Pasco. And as Carl said, TriDec does economic development work, but we also work on things that are kind of regional significance or federal priorities. And the shoreline reconveyance probably falls into both of those two latter categories. I think we have provided some updates in the past to the council, but it's been a while and there are some new council members, so I might just provide a little bit of background and history of the shoreline and then talk about where we're at now and what the next steps are. So before the 1940s, 1950s, the majority of the shoreline, the Columbia River shoreline in the Tri-Cities was in private ownership or in local government ownership. Many of you might remember hearing about the massive floods that happened in the late 40s and early 1950s, wiped out the city of Vanport, further down the Columbia River, but they also wiped out much of the shoreline here in the Tri-City area and inundated farms and businesses and houses and things like that. And so at the time, the Army Corps of Engineers came in and purchased, condemned, through a variety of different means, took ownership of essentially the entire shoreline throughout the Tri-Cities from about the Snake River in Pasco, and actually beyond that, all the way up to north of Richland, and then it became the Hanford site, and that's a whole different topic. But once the Corps took ownership, since then, there have been several dams that have been built above the Tri-Cities. There's also been levees that have been built throughout the Tri-City area. And I think it was for all the right reasons, right? The Corps is really working to protect the community, protect from flooding in the future. But now, since those floods have been, those dams have been built, there really isn't the same kind of risk of flooding that we maybe had 60, 70 years ago. And it's become sort of a challenge to, that we've heard from the local governments to kind of operate parks like Chiawana and Wade Park, for example, in Pasco, that when the city doesn't actually own the land and doesn't have the full control. And I'll just give an example. In the 80s, in the 1980s, the Corps had been operating long-term leases, for example, with Columbia Park in Kennewick. They had a lease with Benton County, and at the time, Benton County just couldn't afford to keep maintaining the park, and so they kind of let the Corps know that, hey, we just can't keep doing this. The Corps said at the time that, well, if you guys can't do it, we're just going to have to padlock the park. We just, we don't have, as a federal agency, the capability to do it either. Ultimately, at that time, for that part of the shoreline, the city of Kennewick stepped in and took over management of the park. But starting around that time, there's been this recognition that, again, the original rationale for federal ownership and Corps ownership of the shoreline has changed a lot. And maybe there's an additional layer of bureaucracy that we really don't need. Plus, I think there's a goal and a desire to do more revitalization, more public use, public recreation, public benefit from the shoreline that is kind of hard to do when, again, you have this federal layer of bureaucracy that really is very restrictive on the things that can be done there. That was recognized even as early as 1995, 1996 time period, where legislation was approved by Congress that authorized the Corps of Engineers to transfer ownership of the shoreline, all the shoreline throughout the Tri-Cities, but it requires going through the full National Environmental Policy Act and several other federal regulatory processes before the land could be transferred. The city of Kennewick has been pursuing that for about 70 acres in Columbia Park. It's been a well over 10-year, about $1 million process just for that 70 acres. And so the time and costs associated with just doing it under the existing authority make it almost impossible or just very difficult for the local governments to do at scale across the entire shoreline. And so around 2015 or so, my predecessor at TRIDEC, Gary Peterson, along with Brad Fisher, who was the mayor of Kennewick at the time that the city of Kennewick took over running Columbia Park in the late 80s, along with then Kennewick Mayor Steve Young and our now former Congressman Doc Hastings, came together and said, we should work to introduce or work with Congressman Newhouse to introduce some legislation that will, again, try to transfer ownership of the shoreline land, but also not require those federal regulatory processes to be done beforehand, because that's been the barrier. That's been what's really prohibited the transfer from happening. Not that those processes won't need to happen at some point, but more in bite-sized chunks when any proposed different use is considered for a portion of the shoreline, and not all up front before any transfer would be made. Since then, the process has sort of evolved. We partnered with the city of Pasco and Franklin County on this side of the river to do a public meeting, I want to say in 2018. But at the time, around that time, we decided to kind of do a little bit of a reset with the process, and really wanted to recognize the important role or the importance of the shoreline to the tribes in our region as well. Before the 1940s, the shoreline land was owned by the local governments, by private property, but all this land is the historical homelands of both the Yakima Nation as well as the Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla Indian Reservation. And so TRIDEC, in partnership with the local governments, kind of went back to square one with the tribes and began putting together what we call a shoreline reconveyance working group. And I got so busy talking, I kind of forgot to move the slides. If I can move on to the next slide. But yeah, so we began working in partnership with the local governments and the tribes to pursue congressional legislation to transfer ownership of the core-owned lands, created the Shoreline Reconveyance Working Group. And that working group has been meeting on about a monthly basis since, I would like to say, around 2020, maybe even before then, to develop the framework, recognizing that the tribes do have treaty rights that are guaranteed through their treaties with the United States government dating to 1855. How do we pursue transfer of this ownership in this way, but also in a way that ensures that cultural resources and treaty rights remain protected? And so in that process, and it's been a very long process, but I think it's really strengthened the partnership and the relationship that we as a community have with our tribal partners, and we like to sometimes call them tribal neighbors, but they're still, I think, very much a part of this larger community. So I'll pause there for a second just to point out that the city of Pasco has identified the lands in green, the kind of neon green, P1, P5, P6, P2, P3, and P4, kind of in order from left to right, as the land that the city would like to have transferred to local government ownership. And this was directed by the Pasco City Council, I would like to say, in the early, maybe 2018, 2019, 2020 time period. And for the city of Pasco, along with all the other local governments, TRIDEC has been pursuing the transfer of whatever the local governments might like to have. So it really depends on the local government. Some want a large swath of land, some want a much smaller amount. But this is what the city of Pasco has identified. I would also add that what we've heard from the local governments is that combined, they're spending about $2 million on maintenance and operations of federal core-owned land every year, and that's just been it's tough to swallow sometimes, paying that kind of money for land that you don't own. But it's been done again for all the right reasons, because these lands are very valuable to the community as parks and recreation areas and things like that. And so, with the Shoreline Reconveyance Working Group, the tribes, the local governments, and TRIDEC have put together 3 documents that we're hopeful will kind of provide the framework to move forward with legislation, while also and achieving the transfer of the land, while also ensuring that the tribes do have those treaty rights and cultural resources protections in place even when the land is no longer in federal ownership. There also could be an opportunity for some land to be transferred directly to the tribes or for them to partner with the local governments. And that would be on a government basis in conversation directly between one or more of the tribes and whichever the relevant local government is. And so the documents that we put together, we're very close to having them kind of in a near final draft form that's to then be ready to take to councils and commissions for discussion and for ultimately, hopefully for approval. But the documents are a memorandum of agreement. It's kind of an overarching document that just solidifies and establishes the relationship and the partnership between both of the tribes and each of the respective local governments here in the Tri-City area. A cultural practices easement that will ensure that, again, in the absence of federal ownership of the land, that cultural practices can still be carried out on this land that is currently federally owned. And then the Naputquit ground disturbing protocols, which is essentially, a lot of this shoreline land is where the location of ancient campsites, burial grounds, things like that you have to be very careful and considerate if you're doing any sort of ground disturbing activities that could potentially discover any Native American artifacts and things like that from centuries ago. And so the protocols document essentially just establishes the protocols in which the local governments would work with the tribes to coordinate and, again, make sure that if any ground disturbing activities take place, then the local government and the tribes are coordinated in that effort to make sure that all the right processes are being followed. And so, like I said, we're, I think, very close. We're not quite ready to have those documents released publicly. It's not quite ready for prime time yet, but we're, I think, within weeks. We'll probably be back, or city staff will be coming back to the council for review and further discussion of the documents. Like I said, I think the partnership that we've developed amongst the local governments in the Tri-Cities with TRIDEC and with the Yakama Nation and the Umatilla tribe, it's far beyond just the shoreline reconveyance, but it really is an opportunity for us to work together to, and with the end goal again of being to transfer ownership of the land, but really still for that intention of having better public benefit and recreation. And I think in the past there's been a perception that there's a goal to develop a whole bunch of condos and high rises, retail, things like that, and that's not in any of the conversations that we've been a part of with any of the local governments been the intent, but rather just to somebody said in a report that TRIDEC commissioned a few years ago, it's like your community was built around the river and then you turned your backs on it. And we need to turn our faces back to the river and start really using it to the full capacity and capability and getting the benefits that we have the potential to enjoy. And so with that, I think that's my last real slide. Happy to answer any questions that you all might have, but we're really excited about where things are at, that we have this kind of momentum. It's been built over several years now.
Thank you, Mr. Replog. Mr. Dye, appreciate you guys coming tonight. Mr. Mellon, was your light on first there?
It was, yes. Yeah, so David, thanks, David Replog. We've been talking for the last 8 years as somebody in the city of Pasco that actually has property there's 2 pieces of property that actually border my piece of property. So I deal with the core, and again, there's basically, as far as a homeowner, there's some dangerous things in that it's never cleaned up. It's, again, trees, everything, they fall down. And again, if a dry season were to happen and one of those fields were to go up, my house would be in a lot of danger because of this. So this is why I'm so adamant that it would be nice to actually have it back in city control. So with that, I know you maybe answered the first question, but my question is anyone at the federal level spearheading this? Is it just Newhouse, or is there anybody else that's spearheading this initiative?
Yeah, so Congressman Newhouse has continued to say he will strongly champion this effort. Ultimately, he asked us collectively to come back to him with collective support and consensus between the local governments and the tribes, and then he is planning on introducing legislation. We've also spoken at length with Senator Cantwell and Senator Murray's offices and staff, as well as with Congressman Adam Smith, who is the ranking member of the House Armed Services Committee. One of the legislative vehicles we've been looking at pursuing this through is the National Defense Authorization Act. That was kind of always been the vision, and he's the ranking member of the committee that that writes that bill every year. So we've spoken at length with his staff in the past as well. So again, I think if we continue to have all the Tri-City, the participating Tri-City area local governments, as well as the tribes together in support, then I think we're going to have strong bipartisan and bicameral support in Congress.
Okay. And my second question was, is there anything in the documents that precluding city from selling or deeding land to someone else? Is there anything that would block somebody that, say, has two pieces of property that aren't maintained? I mean, the city's actually has a budget, so I doubt the city wants to come in and clean up their property and cut down all the dead trees. Do you know of anything that would hinder this maybe futuristic ability to sell off the land to the homeowners in this area?
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's why I brought this map back up, because you can see that kind of thin sliver of land kind of to the left of the P1, right. Which is where a lot of private property owners live. And from what I understand from well over a decade of working on this issue, wearing one hat or another, that the Corps is sometimes a difficult neighbor to have.
Understatement on that one.
And so I think at minimum, having the city of Pasco as a neighbor rather than the Corps would be a net benefit. But ultimately, to answer your question, in the three documents that I briefly described, there's nothing that prohibits it. But what we don't know 100% yet is what's the legislation going to say and what's the process going to be per the legislation. Ultimately, we're working in the working group to develop that legislation, but then we hand it to Congress, and Congress does what Congress does, and you don't have full control of that. So I can't say for absolute certainty that the final legislation would provide for that, but I think there's a pretty good chance that it would.
Okay, well, that would be great news. I guess my final question was, are we saying that 2026 will actually get in an appropriations bill, or I know there always seems to be delays. Again, 8 years of delay since I've known you. I know you're working hard, but do you think this year will be the year that we could sing our hallelujahs, or are we going to wait some longer?
Cautiously optimistic.
Okay.
I don't, and even I think there's a pretty. I'm very optimistic that we'll have legislation introduced. Again, it's hard to say with Congress; they can be a little bit unpredictable. But our goal, and I think we have a very realistic chance of having the legislation introduced. And if again we maintain the coalition, the partnerships that we have, I think it'd be hard to find a whole lot of opposition. One thing I also realized I neglected to mention, but one of the other things we just updated the Port of Pasco Commission just a week or so before Christmas, and we are doing other updates to other city councils and commissions. And this is what we're kind of considering to be the beginning phase of a broader public outreach and engagement effort. So we're going to be working with your respective staffs and internally at TRIDEC and with the tribes as well to do other public outreach and engagement. We really wanted to get to the point where these documents are ready to be kind of presented to the councils and commissions in their near final form, but then not closing the door to other public input or making modifications based on that as the process moves forward.
Mayor Pro Tem, I was just going to add to your previous question and to your current question. Number one, Dan Uess has already announced that he's not running for re-election, so he has been the champion. That's our goal, and so I think that might give a clear answer to your 2026 question. On anything in the three documents precluding the city doing, changing the use, I think that's been a lot of what we've learned collectively from the tribes, both tribal partners, and then what are included in the documents when you get to the point where you'll review those, is that from the tribal perspective, they know what it's like to deal with federal government because they're a sovereign. So they know how does it work with the Corps, how are their treaty rights protected. I think that's what collectively we've all spent a lot of time on in these documents, is saying, okay, the local jurisdiction's going to own the land now, so the federal government, here's the process that we'll go through to change that land use, whether it's ownership or whether it's zoning or whatever it would be. I think that's been good for us to understand their perspective and just, I think for some perspective on that as a community, I think felt like we've been able to establish a relationship there, realizing that the city has a great relationship with Colville tribe. We have some land ownership, obviously, in city of Pasco, and there's some interest there, and there's some might say competing interest, acknowledging that, just to be crystal clear. But one of the things that all of the tribes that we've been working with will say is, through a federal process, like with the Corps, at the very end of the process, we get 30 days to give you a comment back on your, proposed change or something like that. And they basically have the position, which I think just we would all feel the same way. If you don't involve us up front and you just wait till the last of the process and give us 30 days to make a recommendation or to give you our input, we're just going to say no to everything. And so I think that's been good for all of us to understand, just to build that relationship and just to understand, hey, this is a different group of people that were here a long time before we were. How do we work better with them? How do we come up with some shared, win-wins? And I think that's, David's been the champion for all of us leading that charge. I think we're doing better than we have in the past. And that's not any type of political statement. I think it's just as people to people. I think one thing that we've learned in this process, they say, when we come to the Tri-Cities, everything that we see relating to Native Americans is all about Sacagawea. She wasn't even from here. She was on the other side of the mountains. We were kind of here when they came through. It would be nice, and I think that gives all of us an opportunity to have, even some cultural markers, some historical perspectives. Just talk about, what was it like when they were here, and they're really excited. I think we've all seen the great displays at Pasco Airport, the different tribes. Buck does a good job of rotating them through so that they each have a chance to do that. And I think this gives a better opportunity to tell that story of the people that were here first. So just wanted to add that perspective.
Okay. I do appreciate that. I know I've always been an advocate at Chiawana Park. There's an area between the two parks, and there's an open field. So I always thought it'd be cool to have an Indian village, what it would have looked like back in the day, and then maybe have a field for lacrosse or something like that, something that kind of bridges the gap. But I do appreciate your work on this. Hopefully this will get done. Hopefully we'll get to see this over the finish line. And I did actually have some paperwork they gave to Harold Stewart, which talked about back in the area that I live, there was 34 plats, and it was actually the federal government. The average for each section was $82. Not that, I'm just saying it's amazing when you look at back in 1954, the low amount of money that they spent on that area than how much it cost, the city, everybody else, millions of dollars just trying to get that back. So it's just kind of crazy when you look at numbers from, 80 years ago till now. But again, do appreciate your hard work. Hopefully we'll stay in contact and we'll have some good news. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Councilmember Perales.
Thank you. What's the estimated annual cost for maintenance if we were to assume these 300 acres on the city of Pasco?
300 acres specifically?
Oh, just on the reconveyance. I mean, we're going to have to do, right? We're trying to reconvey it to the city. So what's that maintenance cost going to be?
I would suspect that it'll be less than it is now. Like I mentioned before, collectively, all the local governments, and I don't know specifically what the Pasco's maintenance costs are for Pasco ownership, or the Corn land in Pasco, but collectively it's about $2 million. But part of that cost is every time you have to change a sprinkler line, you have to first contact the Army Corps of Engineers in Walla Walla, who then has to contact the State Historic Preservation Office in Olympia, who then engages with it. And you still have to work with the State Historic Preservation Office, but the process and the bureaucracy of engaging and the time that it takes to engage directly with the Corps first goes away. So it actually would take less time. But otherwise, I don't know what it would significantly change the costs one way or the other. I don't believe that it would.
Okay. I guess one thing I'm worried about, there's always an angle, right? TRIDEC is about economic development. So you guys want to reconvey this. I guess I would hate for this land to get reconveyed and all of a sudden there's condos in front of people's homes. Or there's just no public access. So in those documents, does it talk about what the long land use, what you guys are envisioning for that land use, or is that up to the city if it's reconveyed?
It'll ultimately be up to the city, and there are guardrails, and here again, hopefully within a few weeks we'll have the documents in a place where you and the rest of your council members can take a look at them. But there are sort of guardrails in place where any and all kind of developments, there needs to be that engagement like Carl was talking about with the tribes first, but ultimately, who's more answerable to the constituents than the local governments? And the local governments will determine what the land use is, into the future. Generally speaking, that's the plan. And so, again, there couldn't be condos or any massive developments, at least without the city councils and county commissions, approving them. But even if there was that effort, it would be kind of difficult to do given the guardrails that are currently in place.
Thank you much, Steve.
Anybody else?
Mr. Mayor. Hey, Mayor, can I jump in?
Thank you. Yes, go ahead, Mr. Rice.
Thank you. So 2 quick points. The current exhibit has a land request for in like 2018 and 19. If you look in your council packet, about 2 years ago, the city did expand those land requests to ensure the continuity of the shoreline and try to avoid a patchwork of ownership in those areas. So if you take a look at your council packet, that exhibit does basically show Pasco asking for almost the entire shoreline from, let's say, Schlegel Park out to the 82 bridges, a little bit further than that. Actually, we've also updated it as urban growth boundary and city limits has expanded as Franklin County had some overlapping requests as well. So that was the first thing I wanted to point out with that. And then secondly, the packet also includes an itemized list of those lands, but it does include verbiage of what the city had been asking for, which for all the land, which other than flood control, which would remain, which basically these lands would continue operation as a public park and recreation area or other such purposes determined through a public planning process subject to terms and conditions of the enforceable agreement and ratified and executed by local legislative action. So I think as David outlined, whether they stay a park or a recreation area or we choose to do otherwise would be, as we're writing it currently, would be up to the city council to decide and how that maintains. And then to the question of maintenance, basically we currently maintain those areas as it is. We are tasked with maintaining along the recreational path from end to end, as well as with Wade Park, Schlegel Park, and Chiawana Park. So those are part of our current budget. I don't know if I can speak exactly to what those are, but we are basically maintaining those entire areas as they are now, as they are part of our current lease. So hopefully that helped provide a little bit of clarifying information as we move forward in the project. Thank you.
All right. I guess we're good. Happy New Year, gentlemen. Appreciate you guys coming out. Thank you. Okay, moving on to 15, new business, council appointment process for council position number 4, voting district number 4, and this is coming from our clerk.
Yes, I believe our city attorney, Mr. Kenny, has a statement first.
Yes, thank you so much, Daniel Kenny, City Attorney. First of all, great to meet you all. I'm happy to be part of the team here for a little while. The only thing that I wanted to say is that I have a request that the council pass a motion to declare position 4 vacant via motion here tonight. The oath of office has not been taken by Mr. Serrano, and so it would be available to be deemed vacant before you then proceed forward with a process to fill that vacancy.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I guess we could do that part of the process now, and then I guess everything kind of falls suit after that, if you would, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to declare Pasco City Council position number 4, serving City Council District number 4, vacant.
We have a motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Milne to declare position number 4 vacant. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Figueroa. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Thank you for that. So we've done this a few times. In my 6 years, we've done it 6 times. So this is now a vacant position, and obviously you know the story with Mr. Serrano. He had vacated his, resigned from his position back in August, and you filled that position with Joe Cotta, who happens to be in the council audience tonight. and that was in September. So now with him, with Mr. Serrano's election and him not taking on that position, we're now faced with another vacancy. And for those new council members, there's a couple of laws that we have. One is the Pasco Municipal Code, Section 1.15130, that when a vacancy occurs, the remaining council members shall appoint a qualified individual to serve until the next regular general municipal election. And it's the anticipation or the expectation that that appointee would then run and fulfill the unexpired term. And in this case, it would be this, whoever is appointed would run until 2027. Would be appointed until 2027 when that general election is finalized and certified. And hopefully they have ran for that position and possibly win it or not. So, and then that position would go on for another 2 years. So it's a 4-year position broken up into 2 parts. Another part is that if council chooses not to appoint a person within 90 days, then that appointment authority transfers to Franklin County legislators. And if they do not appoint somebody, then the state at 180 days shall have the opportunity to appoint this vacant position. So with that, the eligibility requirements for this position is that the person should be a registered voter and residing in council district, voting district number 4. Those are the 2 requirements. So what we're looking for as council, as staff, is we're looking for council direction on whether you would consider the possible reappointment of Mr. Cotta, or if you would like to open up the recruitment for persons living within council district 4. And if that's the case, then we would we'd need some dates on when your expectations of going through the time frame for the interview, accepting the interview, applications, and then schedule an interview date and then the appointment date. So I turn it over to you.
Thank you, Ms. Clerk. Mr. Cotta, I see you here in the audience. I haven't talked to you actually since your last meeting here. I would it be fair to assume you are here because you would be interested in this appointment?
I'd be honored.
Would you come to the podium and give your reasons for doing so?
Yes, thank you. Yes, I'd be honored to be reappointed to the City Council. I've enjoyed working with all of you that I've been able to work with so far. But yeah, I care about the community. I appreciate the position of influence to lead it, to do its best for Pasco. I know we've got a lot of challenges with regard to how we manage our dollars and those challenges coming up, and I'd be happy to help with all of that and work together to create a cohesive team to do what's best for the city.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I guess we start there, Council. What do you guys want to do? Would anybody be interested in reappointing Mr. Cotta, or do you want to open this back up? Mayor Pro Tem Milne?
Oh yeah, I've known Mr. Cotta for actually over 8 years, and I know the time that he served on the council, I thought he did an excellent job. He was always at meetings. We had a couple meetings where it was just him and myself, so I did appreciate him doing the meetings. And again, I'd seen him at different events. I thought he was very active in the council. He had good input, and I appreciate his leadership. And it would be my honor that if he would come back on the council. But again, we are a 6-body group, and so I'm willing to go along with what everybody else wants, but I would love to see Mr. Cotta come back on Pasco City Council.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Anybody else? Comments for, against? We just, go ahead, Mr. Thank you, Mr. Hernandez.
Open the position up for applications.
You'd like to see it open back up, okay? Any others? Well, I guess, yes, Mr. Figueroa.
This isn't something that we can do like an executive session for to kind of further talk more amongst ourselves, or would that be? looked down upon?
I'll defer to the city attorney, but I think at this point, you're just talking about the process that you want to go through. You would go into executive session to talk about the qualifications of the candidates, once you have that information. So I would recommend that this discussion stay out here in open session.
Okay, well, I guess, I think the best way to do this is, I guess we could take a motion to reappoint, and, if it passes, Mr. Perales?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'll make a motion to reappoint Joe Cotta to the Pasco City Council.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to reappoint Mr. Cotta to the Pasco City Council, position number 4.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Milne. If you'd be so kind as to do a roll call vote.
Thank you. Councilmember Campos,
Yes.
Councilmember Figueroa,
Figueroa, yes.
sorry. Thank you. Councilmember Hernandez,
No.
Councilmember Perales,
It's a yes this time.
Mayor Pro Tem Milne,
Definitely yes.
and Mayor Grimm.
Yes.
That passes 5-1.
Okay,
Thank
well, you have been reappointed. Congratulations, Councilmember Cotta. I suppose he takes a seat right away. We seat him, don't we? Okay, I'm gonna declare a very short recess till 8:25 to reseat Mr. Cotta. Oh yeah, do we need to swear him in?
Yeah, we'll need to do an oath of office next time because I wasn't expecting that, so maybe
Okay.
we shouldn't.
Well, you gave us an option there.
Yeah.
Come on up, Mr. Cotta. Just be on the end down there.
Welcome back.
Joe, we're gonna put you at that end so we're not lopsided. Yep. Let's give it 30 more seconds here. We'll come back. And I'm thankful that my wife rejoined us for a picture afterwards. All right, we are back in session with our newly appointed council member, Councilmember Cotta, who is going to take his oath of office next week. Thank you, everybody. Moving on to number 16, miscellaneous discussion. Mr. Stewart?
Yes, good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. Welcome to 2026. Looking forward to working with all of you this year. We're going to have a busy year, a lot of things to do, and I'm definitely looking forward to having a fully seated council. I think for the 4 months that I've been here, I think this is the first time that we have a fully seated council. So I appreciate that and look forward to working with all of you. Just a couple of things real quick. As usual, within the council packet is a memo prepared by myself and department heads. It's a little brief this time because due to the holidays, it was kind of quiet. But I'd be happy to answer any questions the council may have with regards to that city manager report at this time before I make a couple other announcements. Not hearing any, just a couple. One, some very positive news. This Thursday, January 8th at 9 a.m. at the police department, Officer Phil Hanks will be presented with a Purple Heart Medal for his courageous service. So invite you and the public to come and help honor him for his faithful service to the community of Pasco. Again, that's this Thursday, January 8th at 9 a.m. at the police department community room. I'd like to introduce a new face to the dais here. From a staff perspective, we have Kevin Hebden, our new finance director, is here for his first city council meeting this evening. And we had our new city attorney introduce himself earlier this evening as well. So some fresh faces and hopefully some new energy and new insights and perspectives to provide to us as we move forward with some important decisions and conversations over the coming year. I do regret to inform the council that Griselda Garcia has tendered her resignation with the city. Her last day will be this Wednesday, January 7th. I did want to publicly thank her for her faithful service, including serving as the interim finance director for the last several months. Put in a lot of time, sweat, and tears serving this organization, this community. She did a phenomenal job. She will be missed. But I do understand her reasoning for making that difficult decision. But again, just wanted to thank her publicly for her service. And then, just so the council is aware, we were directed as staff previously to do a developers outreach meeting with regards to the water and sewer connection fees and rates. That meeting will be this Wednesday in this room over the lunch hour at 12 p.m. So if council would like to attend that, we'll be going through the information and hearing questions and concerns and answering those with the developers on Wednesday. And that is all I have to report this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Welcome, Mr. Hebden, to the dais. Any other council members have anything they want to talk about? Councilmember Perales.
Yeah, just real quick. I got contacted today by Joe Thornton with Big Bro Joe, and he would like to come to the city council and do a presentation. He's looking to move his organization to the city of Pasco, and so he just wanted to give a good 5 to 10 minute presentation about how his organization can partner with the city. So I'm just looking for support, and maybe in the future put it on the agenda for a 5 to 10 minute presentation at a workshop.
Do you have a general idea of what date he was looking for to do that?
If we let him know, then he'll be prepared.
I'd be happy to coordinate that with him if you'd like. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to hear from him too. Thank you. Anybody else? All right. Well, that's it. Executive session. I see nothing listed. That would leave number 18. We are going to adjourn this first meeting of the year. Thank you for participating in your city.